Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Zach, you just missed it, but I'm good. You just missed it, that's it. I'm doing good, man. How you doing? My boss at work. That's what as long as you All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Madison County Board of Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session, August 5th, 6:04 p.m. And we'll start off with the chairman's report. I'm going to make this brief only because we had a meeting Monday night, discussed a lot of stuff then. This coming week, Wednesday and Thursday, I will be in Cartersville attending ACCG meeting, and these are some of the topics that we're going to be going over. Annexation arbitration panels, public works bid thresholds, corner pay mandated state minimum, expanded teleconference opportunities for county commissioners and elections, solar facilities, local government regulations, private water systems, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, water sewer infrastructure, and funding. Truck weights, Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank, economic development grant opportunities, local maintenance and improvement grants, which is LMAC funding, and local government audits, compliance, state grants, and the soon-to-be House Bill 581 tax reform legislation, and then curbing title, ad valorem tax abuse. These are some of the topics that we will be going over. Oh, sorry, there's more. Next generation 911, public safety cameras, automation of court reporting, and Superior Court judge salaries. Housing, National Association of County updates, and I think I did say 911 updates. So those are some things that's going to happen this week. Yeah. Y'all are welcome to go if you want. I have a question about every one of these, so I hope they got a long day planned. I don't really have anything else on the chairman's report for tonight, but business involving guest groups and multiple visitors. Anybody here has anything they would like to add before we start the meeting? All right. First off, I want to start off with a proclamation in memory and honor of Deputy Elmer Willis. I'll read that proclamation. Whereas Madison County Sheriff's Deputy Elmer Williams was born in Athens, Georgia on May 5th, 1950. And after serving in the United States Navy and working as a security guard, Mr. Willis was hired by the Madison County Sheriff Jack Darrell Fortson in May of 1974 as the first African-American deputy in Madison County. He served honorably and became a symbol of progress and inclusiveness in the law enforcement community. Whereas in the late evening hours on August 4th, 1974, Deputy Willis answered a call from a female citizen who lived alone on Transco Road, reporting that a suspicious vehicle had been driven down her private drive to her home, whereupon Deputy Willis assured her that he would immediately respond to investigate. And whereas Deputy Willis located the suspicious vehicle at a nearby residence, and as he approached the vehicle, he prepared to exit his patrol car. A violent exchange of gunfire unexpectedly erupted, resulting in Deputy Willis sustaining 5 gunshot wounds from a .38 caliber pistol. Although Deputy Willis managed to return fire, he ultimately succumbed on the scene to the fatal wounds inflicted by the suspect. And whereas the suspect was prosecuted in a jury trial and found guilty of voluntary manslaughter on August 29, 1974, and the decision of the Georgia Court of Appeals overturned the verdict and caused a second trial to be held in which the suspect again was found guilty and returned to prison. And whereas Deputy Willis' senseless murder occurred just 3 weeks after his marriage to Maddie Esther Curry, and whereas Sheriff Jack Darrell Fortson often expressed that this case was the most challenging and impactful one of his long, distinguished law enforcement career. Sheriff Fortson kept the murder weapon at the crime scene photo of Deputy Willis' vehicle in his desk drawer for the duration of his career, as a constant reminder of these tragic events. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Madison County that acknowledges and expresses its gratitude for the faithful, courageous service of Deputy Elmer Willis. It's been a long day. In not only serving his community as a law enforcement officer, but also breaking barriers and paving the way for diversity in Madison County Sheriff's Office. And also expresses an appreciation to the probate judge, Cody Cross, for researching and documenting Deputy Willis' story. So resolved by the Madison County Board of Commissioners on this 5th day of August, 2024. Mr. Canolas, do you have somebody here?
Yes, sir. His brothers and his family's here.
All right. If I could have a couple of you come forward, Sheriff Michael Moore and his staff, along with probably Cody Cross, as a plaque.
Zach's gonna take some pictures.
Oh, Zach is, all right. Sheriff Moore. Oh, come on up, young lady. Come on up here. Come on up here. All right. And this is the proclamation signed by myself as chairman of the Madison County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Madison County Sheriff's Office, honor the office, remembering.
Long over. Did you get that picture? Zach probably wants y'all to pose a little bit there.
A lot about it. This last couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And it's stuff that means you hear stories, but you didn't really know the real story.
Good right there. Cody Cross.
Cody, get him up.
Come on, Judge.
Y'all wanna come up?
Yeah.
You family member?
We can go short to tall if you want to. You want us to scoot around a little bit? Yeah. There we go.
All right, I can see everybody.
All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. I think that's good.
Y'all didn't know Zach's button's rusty. He ain't done this in a while. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dennis. Yeah, that's it. You
Want to give one?
Did we come up with a Vegas date?
Yeah, the 14th.
14th, great.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My brother. Thank you. No. Yes, sir. Thank you, Sheriff.
See ya, buddy.
All right.
Before anybody leaves, also under the chairman's report, I want to announce that there's going to be a celebration of life for Deputy Elmer Willis. This will take place on September 14th, 2024 at 12 p.m. noon until 4 p.m. here in the Danielsville Park. There'll be food, entertainment, hosted by a family of the officer of Deputy Willis and the Pastor and Layman's Fellowship. Everyone is welcome.
Mr. Chairman, before we leave the topic, we do need to do a quick motion and vote on that
All right.
proclamation.
Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion to accept that proclamation.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Doster. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Adams. All in favor, gentlemen? Start with you, Dennis.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Y'all can stay
On behalf of the Willis family, we want to thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
going. 12-4. Danielsville Park.
While he's here, that's taken almost word from word from Judge Cross's work, and I cannot wait to read that.
I know, I'm pretty excited about it too. When is it coming out, Cody?
My computer crashed the other day, but I did have a backup, so hopefully it won't be too long. All right. But it takes time. It's a lot of time, effort, and research, and I hate that the family left. I did want to say one thing, if I could, while
Sure,
Andy.
sure.
Sheriff Moore, even Captain Patton and I, we all work with Sheriff Orson. And I personally got a chance to talk with him about that case, not a good bit, but occasionally. And he told me he never hired Deputy Willis because he was black. He hired him because he was well qualified and thought he could serve this county just like anyone else. And that really took a toll on Sheriff Orson, it really did. But I distinctly recall talking to him and having that conversation about Deputy Willis being well qualified. And in that era, for what it's worth, in that particular era, it could have been political suicide for Sheriff Orson to hire a black man. But he told me he did not hire him because he was black. He hired him because he was qualified. For what that's worth, I just wanted to do that.
That's good. Good job. Thank you, Judge Cross.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the public hearing, Mr. Canola Scott.
Yes, sir. Good evening, gentlemen. Ladies. Before I get into this, I want to personally thank you guys for doing this. Kind of long overdue, but we got it done. It was a sad time for Madison County, but it's history, and we don't need to forget it. So, public hearing on action of planning of zoning matters. We have, Royce Bray is requesting to rezone his 12.45 acres from A2 to B to sell for future commercial development. The property is located 5518 Highway 29 South in Cobbin on map 44, parcel 190, District 3. Public hearing was held. Nobody came forward in favor of this particular rezone. Nobody came forward to oppose. this particular rezone. There was a lot of questions back and forth. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted, it's kind of split, 4-3 to approve.
All right, thank you, sir.
Long while you're there, what sort of was the discussion, what were the thoughts that were back?
Well, the discussion was, some members thought that it was his property. He really he doesn't want to develop it. But it would be more financial for him to sell it if it's commercial, if it's a rezoned business rather than what it is now. And there were some others that felt like, no, we need to control what goes in there. But he has no idea, you know, who might buy it or what they may want to bring in there. And one of us that voted for it said, well, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The others said, no, we don't think so. So, very good discussion, but at the end, it was 4-3 to recommend approval to you guys.
Y'all took into account the state highway and I guess.
Yes, we took
demographics
all
around.
that into account. You know, that it was in the business corridor, there's a business right across the road from it. Jackson EMC is there. So it's going to visit a B business. Whether we want to make him sell it as is or rezone it to business as he's asked. And it would be better financially for him.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any further questions? All right.
Mr. Bray, is there anything you would like to add to that?
I mean, right now, what we're thinking about doing, can I just tell y'all what we want to do there?
Sure.
That's sometime I need to tell this.
No, you're welcome to, any ideas?
We're talking about putting a convenience store there. It's across from Diamond Hill store that's there now. It's adjacent to Jackson EMC. It's right there on the state highway. And I know that Madison needs businesses on the state highway. And we're going to try to put some rental stations at the end of each one, for like a Subway, barbecue, chicken shack, something down through there as well. That's what our intentions are in the future.
All right. Gentlemen, any questions?
You're intending to do that?
Sir,
So you and your family are intended to do that?
me and another partner.
Okay, so not to sell it, to do.
Yes, he's going to buy into the partnership.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone here to speak in opposition to this rezone request? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this rezone request?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, for the when the P&Z met, we were under the impression that he wanted to sell it. We were not told what he just told y'all. You know, of course things change. I mean, I'm not being critical because things change. But when the P&Z looked at it, we looked at it from the standpoint that he wanted to sell it to someone else, and they may come in and put in whatever type business they wanted to.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone here speak in opposition of it? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion.
So, sorry, as of right now, you don't have like a plan or anything for, like any kind of a layout for the house, how
No, sir.
the land will be used or anything like that?
No, sir. I mean, I could sketch something, but, we're planning on putting storefronts right up front by the road.
Excuse me.
Royce.
Royce? Yeah, what about the
Sorry, I can't hear
balance?
really.
What about the balance of the property?
What about what?
The
The back part?
property.
If we fill up the front, we may want to eventually put some storage units back there, some little rental spaces back there in the back. You know, eventually, but right now, this is what our plan is.
Like mini warehouse,
Yes,
kind of thing?
All right, gentlemen.
Christian, is there a requirement that we have a site plan? Is that just sort of standard procedure that we follow just to have a better idea?
You want
The
to
way
ask
I've interpreted,
For,
the zoning ordinance we have, the way I've read it, that it recommends a site plan be turned in. When you refer to the provisions, I think it's section 9, it discusses the site plan.
So it says the zoning administrator may require either a site plan or a survey, or a site, either a survey, engineer site plan or just a sketch. In this case, you know, of course, that's up to the zoning administrator. While I'm talking about it, let me just remind you that, who does what is not really relevant. And also these representations, of course, are not binding unless they're conditioned, unless you make the binding in your motion, which is, part of the discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission was looking at the, I think this has public water in that area, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir, it is.
Which makes the minimum lot size there 20,000 square feet. So, you know,
potential possibilities.
so once the zoning, and just some discussion we had recently at the meeting with CPL, that remember, your discretion is at the zoning level. You don't, once it gets to preliminary and final plat stage, if it complies with the requirements of the ordinance, that's all that matters. It will be approved. There's no discretion there. So that's why I think there's some more discussion about this being a large tract.
Because based on that information, there could potentially be 25 tracts there.
Yes, sir.
Zone business, though. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bray, that's sort of quantum. I mean, without better information or more information on what your plans are, we could put conditions on it that would limit you to whatever we do. Now, that might, at the same time, that might not comply with the plans you want, and you have to come back before this. But open B zone would allow anything that is listed in the B zone allowed usage. And like Attorney Pruitt said, that could potentially times 25 based on the minimum parcel size.
So with that being said, do you understand what he's talking about?
No.
All right. Do you have a problem if the Board of Commissioners conditioned that property to where that property can only split X amount of times?
Or be used for a certain purpose.
I don't.
So what I'm saying is you got, how many acres? 12?
12.45.
12.45. And they, if they come back and say that property cannot be split more than 4 times, is that a problem?
No. No.
Because you don't think you're gonna have more than 4 individual lots?
No.
Because if you, what you said a minute ago, if you do build many storage houses, that's probably gonna be on a lot by itself.
Right.
And you're gonna have a store potentially.
Yep.
That'll be on a lot by itself.
Yep.
Okay. That would help you.
That still doesn't address, what you can do with that.
Once it's business, it's gonna be business.
Well, that's why I'm saying, that's why I guess I would, from my personal, that, I would feel better if we had some kind of site plan. I know that, because it looks like this has sort of changed from when it was brought before the Planning and Zoning Board, that if you're gonna do that, which I think that area, that probably is not a bad thing that you're looking at, putting that convenience area in there, but just to understand exactly how that's gonna be positioned and what you're putting there, and then what future things might be, like the storage units and all that, to have sort of a site plan to understand it, that it would make it much better for us for you, so that you can get what you want, plus, for us to make sure that we don't unintentionally wind up with somebody putting a place where they're rebuilding jet engines or something over on one side of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So that's where I'm sort of at, and I guess that how to condition it is as Terry's already stated, is sort of tough unless we sort of know what you got in mind. So I don't know, is there a way that we can
Table it till we get.
Table it until we get there?
Well, my biggest thing is I don't wanna spend all that money on perk tests and doing site plans and getting the drawings and everything else, and I don't even know if it'd be zone commercial yet.
Business.
Business, yeah.
But now, the site plan, guess what would we require for a site plan if we were gonna do that? And I guess I'm looking for.
You could do a preliminary drawing, you just couldn't condition to the exact boundaries, because if you didn't perk, you would have to move. And then you would have to come in and ask for a condition to move it.
That's right, well, yeah, but if it doesn't perk, then it's, there's not much you can do with.
It's a moot point anyway.
It's a moot point, that's
Well,
right.
it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if it's a restaurant, you're gonna have a lot more capacity than you would a retail store.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but,
Site
Other than
plans
general.
are described in section 681 of your zoning ordinance. And if I remember correctly, it lists what has to be included in those.
It's gonna end up being another, ordinance problem because of the word may require from the zoning administrator, I'm afraid of. The CPL question.
Well, I mean, 681 describes site plan, 682 describes sketch plan. So it's a little lengthy to read out loud, but it's defined there what that would have. Again, you can't say it's conditioned on a site plan, because we have to know what the site plan is. It would be conditioned on a site plan that's been submitted
That's
to.
right. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist yet, that's right.
So, with that being said, and I heard the talk here, because the floor is closed, back before the board for discussion, are you asking, potential, or gentlemen at the table, are you asking for potential, 30-day delay till he can produce at least a preliminary site plan? Is that what I'm being told?
Some sort of a site plan or like a business agreement, just so that we know that this is what the planned business, the planned use for the land is.
Okay.
So the site plan is a scaled drawing with 16 items of listed information, such as location, size, function of existing or planned structures, planned uses, et cetera, et cetera. A sketch plan is hand-drawn, not to scale, but including the same relevant information required for site plan, simply in a less formal manner.
Okay.
But both would show.
Both would have to show.
Egress.
Yes, it would have, both would need to show a lot of detail about what's planned to go there.
Yeah, depending on what could be built, they may have to be, the traffic count may have to come into play depending on what's potentially gonna go on the property.
Like, I would feel more comfortable, like, with the business that you suggested that you would put in there, I think it's great, I think it fits that area perfectly fine. I would just like to have some sort of assurance that that is what y'all are actually, really planning to do. With, a site plan, if you could produce some sort of a plan like that, I would feel much more comfortable.
A site plan or a sketch plan? Would you be satisfied with a sketch?
I would be satisfied with a sketch plan, yeah.
And we can condition based on the sketch plan, you feel like.
Yes, sir. So once you have either a site or a sketch plan, then you can make that a condition of your rezone.
So, Mr. Bray, I guess, with that said, I know y'all are tossing ideas about what you're gonna do with the property. And what do you think the time frame would be for you and your partner to sit down and decide what you're actually gonna do, or are you gonna know what you're gonna do? Are you pretty confident? Because if you don't, we need to have some kind of, you may go home and say, you know what, I decided not to put a gas station there, I'm gonna put a restaurant instead. We're still gonna need some kind of site plan to go by. That make any sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're not 100% set because we haven't got his own commercial yet, and then we have to go through the procedures to find out what it's gonna cost to do this.
Gotcha. Business.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the hand sketch works. A hand sketch works. Yeah, I mean, I guess y'all need to decide what you think you're gonna do with it in the future, if anything. And then whatever it is, sketch it out, and if you want to, we'll put this back on the agenda for September 1st, the 9th. Get that back up here.
Or if that's too long, if that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, is that too long of a waiting period?
Or it's too short.
I can make it longer. I can't make it shorter, but I can make it longer. Well, I could put it at the end of the month.
We do August 26th, September the 9th, or September the 30th.
Yeah.
But since we're having a public hearing, we need to postpone it to a specific date.
Whatever's the quickest, I'll have something hand through it.
Okay.
There's some sketch already.
All right.
Look up the ordinance, they can tell you at the planning and zoning office, and if they know live, the ordinance that Mr. Pruitt specifically referred to, they'll give you a list of exactly what needs to be in that site sketch.
I'm sorry.
Look at the ordinance.
Here, take a
You go
pen.
online,
Take a pen and write that number down. He's fixing to give you, and you can look it up online.
if you look at the zoning ordinance online, you'll need to look at, go to section 6.8.1. So that's site plans.
What is it, what's the number?
6.8.1. Now, what they're actually asking is 6.8.2, so that means it can be hand-drawn, it does not have to be to scale, but it still has to include all that information.
Okay.
All right. There's my pen back there. I got a lot more writing to do. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're saying the 26th?
That was September?
Okay.
August, that'll be fine.
All right. We're gonna postpone it till then. Gentlemen, I have a motion to postpone.
Postpone it to August.
Motion by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, Commissioner Chandler?
Yes.
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 There you go, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Scott.
I know, it's closed, question. You know, you rezone it business, he brings the sketch man back, you rezone it, be 6 months from now, you decide, well, hey, I can't, I don't want to do this.
Be with conditions, and if he decides not to do that, then within a year, then we can potentially just undo that.
Well, the only problem with those conditions is those conditions won't stick as far as what type. You can't say so we're gonna condition you to a Kmart. And if you decide not to do a Kmart, it's out the window. So you're gonna be basically conditioning the land, not the business that goes on the land. And the size lots that you're putting, if I'm correct in that, because yes, we can he can tell us anything, but he can change it at any time if we don't put the condition on the land.
And if his mind changes, he can come back before us and ask for the condition to be changed.
Correct. All right.
And make sure that, we're off the same page, but
The other option at this point, if he's facing denial, then he's 6 months when we come back and ask again.
Year,
Years.
12 months.
I was thinking that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done the right thing by postponing it and let him try to fill in the
I'm not saying you did, I'm
Yeah.
not saying you did the right thing or the wrong thing, I just wanna make sure that we're thinking the whole thing through. We are.
All right.
All right, number 2, Maya Chang, applicant for her father, Faith Chang, is requesting to rezone his 5 acres from A2 to AR to allow a second home to be placed on the property as an accessory dwelling unit for his daughter. The property is located at 6449 Highway 29 in Hull on map 30, parcel 143-01A to District 3. Public hearing was held. There was no one that came forward to speak for this particular rezone. No one came forward to speak in opposition. Public hearing was closed and the vote was taken. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. or Ms. Chang? No one here to speak? Okay. So your word's good enough. Any particular, it was 7-0, but I guess there was no discussion really in opposition to this?
Well, there's always discussion, but no opposition.
Okay. All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that this request be approved.
I have a motion by Commissioner May. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kirk. Any other discussion, gentlemen? All right. Commissioner May.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Motion carried. Mr. Chang. Consider amending amendments for section 14.3 of the zoning ordinance.
Yes, sir, we had to have a public hearing on this, so we opened a public hearing, no one came forward no one came forward in opposition. Motion was made, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-1 to approve. If anybody has any questions about the one, I was the one.
All right.
I was the one simply because I think that should be a penalty for not showing up. If you ask for a rezone, and you don't show up to either the P&Z meeting nor the commission's meeting, I think that should be a penalty of some sort. But it passed and it's approved. It's recommended to you to approve as it is written.
All right.
6-1.
I thought we had you lose half your applicant fee and you're out. You got to start over.
You have to read this.
Okay. I got Mr. Misty. All right. All right, gentlemen. Anyone here? Well, yeah. Anyone here to speak in favor of this change? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this change? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board, gentlemen. Entertain a motion.
These amendments were, staff initiated and directed by CTL.
So this is not something that we're going
Yep,
to change if we adopt.
No,
This will be incorporated as,
yes. And I believe, Mr. Pruitt had some conversations with CTL when we first brought this up, I guess it's probably been 2 or 3 months ago now.
Well, not really. I think maybe 2 different lines of communication there. I think CPL was asked for some input, and I made some comments,
Okay.
and so, but what we actually wound up with, I think Planning and Zoning Commission discussed this several times, so both of the, I guess where we wound up was on what are the possible consequences of failure to appear. And so at both the P&Z level and at the Board of Commissioners level, trying to find and make sure that's what I have here. Or maybe did we end up with it only being at the Board of Commissioners?
I think it's
only the Board of Commissioners.
38.6.
Yes, sir. I think it's only Board of Commissioners level. That basically, if they do not appear at this level, then you can approve, deny, postpone, whatever, gives you maximum flexibility, and this language is taken from Oconee County's UDC.
so I'm a little confused on 14.3.8.6, the bottom of the second page. So we require that, we tell them they shall attend, but we can take action if they don't attend.
Right, and actually the version I'm looking at, the same language is in 14.375 for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that the version you have?
That's the same thing.
Okay, yeah, so it's the same thing there.
The way it reads to me, I guess the intent is, we say shall.
Yeah.
Okay. If they don't, they've got fair warning that we can do what we want to.
That's exactly right.
We can do whatever we want.
That's exactly right, and I think
By saying shall, we can.
Yeah, and, I think what's behind that is, again, there's no reason you can't give yourselves that flexibility, and it allows you, to go forward if there's extenuating circumstances. For example, we had a few months ago an applicant who I think his wife had a medical emergency. There was no controversy about the rezone. It would allow you to go forward in that sort of circumstance.
All right,
So essentially, it wouldn't mandate a denial, their absence.
Yes,
That's currently what our ordinance does, it mandates a denial.
that's correct.
A withdrawal.
at the P and Z.
A withdrawal.
All right, gentlemen. I'll entertain a motion.
We would change the accepted as presented.
So,
Motion by Commissioner Chandler, second by Commissioner Doster. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Commissioner Kirk?
Yes.
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 All right. Under old business, Shad Griffith, that application has been withdrawn. Consider extending the contract date for the removal of the Strickland house to December 31st. Yes, sir.
This is the lady, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
She was here for item number 5.
Are you here on the item number 5, Shad Griffith?
Yes, I heard you say it was.
It's withdrawn.
I have one question. Was there a third phase of the amendment?
I'll leave it.
Okay, so it's just, okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
You want a copy?
No, it's okay, thank you. So this is what it was about. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Just bring everybody up to speed on this, I have talked to Tripp several times. He still is planning to move forward, but obviously y'all are aware of the health situation with Dad. It lasted about 6 months, his dad passed away. We had set a deadline, and obviously it couldn't be met. So rather than just leave that open, we felt like Christina felt like it'd be appropriate to go ahead and officially extend that. So if it meets everybody's approval, I'll make a motion that we extend that deadline and move it to December 31st of this year.
Well, do we want to go that far out?
Well, in talking to him, I don't think it will take that long. Several things have to happen. They have where the house is going to be placed. They're waiting on the timber crew to come in and do some timber harvest, then they'll have to do the clearing and site prep, and then they'll have moving. So that late, more than anything, is just to keep us from having to address it with it again.
The only reason I'd ask is because I know we had planned, or hypothetically planned that if we're going to extend our parking area, even currently with gravel, we was going to try to do that in like November and December in the cold weather times. But that's the reason I was asking you want to go that far. But, okay. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
You got it already.
I got a motion and a second.
Yep.
All right, I have a motion and a second by Commissioner Chandler, Commissioner Doster, second. Commissioner Doster.
yes.
Yes.
All right. Consider a highway memorial dedication request for George Strickland. This one here, Mike, I think we talked about this once before. It's really hard. We're going to be borderline Pandora's box, and the only reason I say this, gentlemen, not that I didn't think the word of George. Mr. Strickland was a fine man that done a whole lot of service to the county and to a lot of the citizens in the county. But most of your road dedications go to a retired, somebody that was employed by government. It's rare to see one that's not. And the reason is because we're going to get into the next person that was a long time serving citizen in the county. I'm just going to caution you all on that one. For that reason, I think me and Mike talked about.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, that's policy for y'all. The only thing that I would do is just point out the difference between county road and state highway.
Correct.
If it's state highway, then you would submit a resolution, the General Assembly asking them to do it.
Correct.
It's county road, obviously, you just do it yourself.
Yeah.
I have had some conversations, and I don't think they've been, Commissioner Dawson mentioned to me, and I talked to Tripp also about this. Obviously, they feel very honored. And we talked about some possibilities, and the thinking was to create an opportunity that would be most visible to the family. And we talked about the potential of a section of Highway 29 fourth section of Highway 98. And then he mentioned, possibly the new South 29 bridge. You see bridges that are named. I made a phone call to Rob Leverett, and he was ultra supportive of the idea. He said all he needed from us was to go ahead if we decided to do so. But he felt like it was very appropriate. He would be glad to do whatever steps necessary at the state level. There is no requirement that person has had to serve at a state level. Mr. Strickland did serve on the school board, so he had served as local elected official and several other issues. So in my mind, certainly deserving. But just if we decide as a board to approve, it'd be best for us to go ahead and decide which of those that we want to choose as a name. My personal preference would be the bridge, just because it's very visible. That'd be a thoroughfare that the family passes all the time. And when we get into the city of Danielsville, there's already a lot of signage there. It might just get lost in the show. So my personal thinking would be, if we decide to do that, that'd be my first choice, that South 29 Bridge. And then there's several little details, and we have to be very specific about how the name is put. Is it R. George or RG, or all those little details have to be worked out. But Representative Leverett said he absolutely would go over and do whatever we need to do.
Did
Rob Leverett.
Did he say that in the resolution that we had to recommend one, either Highway 29 or 98, or in that resolution, could we give the state the options?
It would need to be specified at some point, and we may want to leave some options open. But there's a potential that there may be an existing conflict. That'd be another reason. Obviously, that South 29 Bridge is pretty new, so the likelihood of any existing conflict there would be very minimal.
Would it be easier to do? It's going to be a lot easier to do, like Booger Hill Road.
Yeah, and that would be something we could do in-house.
That's right. I'm just trying to make it easier here, because and the reason I prefer Booger Hill Road is because it's a county road. It's going to be discretion, because there's going to be, the mayor of Sanford, long-term citizen. There's going to be a guy in Comer, Steve Sorrells, for instance, somebody been there 20, 30 years. All this is going to pop up, and we need to have some kind of control. We don't want to keep bombarding legislature over it. Wesley Chandler may get one up around his area because of what all he's done with the fire departments and all that. Mark Perry may get one in his area. I think we need to stick with a county road if we're going to do that, because that box is going to open. That would be my recommendation, is Booger Hill Road.
A portion of it.
Yeah, I mean,
all those are options. If we decide to pursue it or the state routes or that bridge, like I said, Representative Leverett is, and apparently they're fairly common in the legislature. Typically, the way he described it is there may be a dozen of those requests throughout the state, and they'll put them in one lump and deal with them that way. So I don't foresee it as any issue, certainly from his perspective, based on I called him and he did some research and he called me back, and there's no issue from his standpoint. He would certainly be very supportive and glad to move it through.
I like the bridge.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but
yeah.
This is my personal, I like the bridge idea myself too, because it's very close. It's close to Booger Hill, and actually, if you're talking about being seen, it's probably going to be seen by more people crossing that bridge.
I'm totally fine with whichever one. I don't want anybody to think I'm not.
But it sounds like
a quick move. We say Booger Hill and it happens tomorrow.
Well, yeah, but I don't know that. I think if Representative Leverett can do it, it's probably not going to be that long, and it would be if it's done at the state level, it's probably a little bigger.
Action. We would, if we take action on that tonight and give him that go ahead. Doing so now just gives him the opportunity to get all the ducks in a row. Nothing would occur until the session.
Correct.
Starts in January, but it just gives him the opportunity to lay everything out. He'd go ahead and get in touch with the DOT and find out if there are any conflicts. If there are, he could get back in touch with us, say, whoops, there's a conflict here, make a different decision.
All right, sounds great.
Do we need to generate a resolution on that, or just vote on
we would vote to move forward.
Whatever Representative Everett wants us to do. If he needs it, does he need a resolution?
My understanding, we just need to vote to request that Representative Leverett proceed with, our desire to have a memorial with the bridge. I would put in the form of motion that it be that bridge.
Okay.
Be memorial created in honor of, George Strickland Jr.
And I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Chandler, second by Commissioner Kurt. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Dennis, it's on you.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you, gentlemen. New business, discuss intergovernmental agreement with the Fire Association for the use of fire training facility. Mike, go ahead.
Me? Well, so I've drafted this, Christina's reviewed it, Dan Horn reviewed it. I don't know, I have to defer to Christina now, I don't know if Firefighters Association representatives.
They're not here, but they've received it to review it.
Okay.
But I haven't heard anything back from them. They have some SOPs that they're gonna put in place kind of behind this to beef it up a little bit. We've met with the insurance company last week, and this is one of the things that we talked about, just kind of the legalities of holding that liability insurance. So we're still working through that, and we need to meet with Butch and Mark on those. But this
Yeah, and I checked the Secretary of State's website today, and they still don't have it formed yet. It's not showing up if it is, so this may be a little premature for tonight.
I was gonna say, so those would be exhibits that would be attached to this.
Well,
Or amendments.
so I looked at that, I initially anticipated that, I looked at what the fire department people provided, it is so detailed. Frankly, I read it and thought, these firemen know a lot more about this than I do. Those standards would change from time to time, I'm sure, if their own association standards change. So I drafted this to just give the Firefighters Association the discretion that they would comply with those, but it would be their discretion to sort of keep up with them and not actually have them as an exhibit to this contract.
If this facility is potentially usable by outside people for training, do we need to go ahead and establish some sort of charging scale or procedure? Who's going to do that? Where does the money go?
Well, I think, and I'll have to find the provision, I think we restricted it to the fire departments and rescue, the members of the association of Madison County, and their invitees for the purpose of their training. It wouldn't be something we know. I did not think about that, to be honest. Is that something we anticipate doing?
That was mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's something that they have discussed and that we've discussed with Butch, but I think it's more the understanding that if there's a specialized training that they're having in this district, that Madison County will be there, but allow other counties to come in.
Or potentially charge for it.
Yeah.
Because we'll have to cover it under liability. I mean, it'll be.
At the end of the day, we're gonna be danged with it.
Yeah, so.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But
that's what I was thinking is if you're gonna make it available to,
But
ABC County, then they would need to provide insurance.
But see, this is the way it's always been done, is that that the class is held by Madison County, okay? If they had a fire training class, they've had classes where the state's got, trainers that they go all over the state and do the training. So they may have a specialized class that they just need a facility to do it. Madison County is the hosting fire department, the fire service area. They host it. Other folks can sign up for it and they pay a fee, which part of it goes to the fire academy. And I guess then the county could recoup some of that. But actually, it's still Madison County's having the training.
Right.
Okay, they just inviting other people to come. And I've been in the past, back when I was involved, we used to do that and we'd all go down to Augusta and do that. but the Augusta Fire Department and some of the others down there would host it, and we were just invitees, but.
We paid them.
Yeah, and the folks from their fire department controlled everything. I mean, it wasn't like that you gave control of that facility to anybody else. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so the, in that case then, like in Augusta's case, so the Augusta Firefighters Association's liability insurance policy covers that event.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, that may be, we may need to.
You're gonna go back and tweak.
May need to tweak this for,
Yeah.
But, and I'm sure that,
Did we send out a copy of this to everybody?
To everybody as in,
Board.
Jackson Farm, Mark Perry,
I'm
Butch,
talking about our
Mississippi, Board of Commissioners. I'm sure it was at some point.
and it was in tonight's agenda packet, I saw it.
All right.
Was, if we're tweaking, or I guess it was under discussion, so a couple of questions I had was, I think one's a legal one, is there, it just seemed to be in perpetuity. I know there's an out clause if we give them notice, but is there any provision that needs to be limited to 50 years or anything?
Well, the 50-year thing is for intergovernmental agreements. This is actually not intergovernmental because Firefighters Association is a private nonprofit. I mean, legally, you can do, there's nothing, as long as you have an annual right to non-review, there doesn't legally have to be an end date.
The other questions I had was, when we had our presentation and such, that they were going to handle, if my recollection is correct, the Fire Association was going to handle all ongoing operational and I'll say semi-maintenance kind of thing. So I didn't see that identified in here, which I think it would need to be, you know, at least in some generic form. And then going back to, I don't want to overload just a general good faith agreement and not necessarily make it an attached reference, but can we require an updated SOP like submission every year? I mean, that, who's new, who's in charge, who's got keys? I don't want to dictate it, and I don't want to review it as in, you know, I know more than the firefighter, like you said, but to have something on file once a year as a part of renewal, here's our updated SOP.
Yeah, submitted to the chairman's office.
Yeah, like just part of it.
So can
well,
that,
they'll have that record anyway because they have to, they're
well,
going to
and
have to
that's
submit
what I was
that to
gonna
the
say,
project.
we could put that in here, or we could, this might get more convoluted, but amend the contract we have now for fire services for the association. There's so many documents that each fire department and the association and the rest of you have to turn in each year, that could be when they turn it in.
Yep.
So instead of it being due every December, it's due every March, whenever we get ready to do their yearly allocations.
Yeah, it could be. I guess I'm thinking what Derek's talking about is SOP as relates to this particular facility.
Yes, but you're talking about, you also want a current roster, a list of who has keys and.
But they need to, and I'm in a rightly fashion, not that, they need to know how to operate that facility. But if you have firefighters that move off, if they change something, who do we call besides just, it's always been Mark? I mean,
So I feel what you're saying, Mike, it needs to be attached to this document. I'm just thinking.
If they want to
Well, we
submit
get they're supposed to be giving us a roster every year.
Yeah.
They do that anyway.
Okay, yeah,
They do.
Now, if that SOP gets updated and submitted in March prior to the end of the year being renewed, to me, that's a checkbox saying we already received it. We can
Okay.
continue with their,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just an addition to what they're already bringing.
I think what Christina was saying is, do you want to make that requirement part of the requirement, the way it's written under the other section, to keep from bombarding this requirement? Have it
But I
specifically
think Mike,
for that, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think Mike's right. It should be with this, it's attached to that
Oh, that's
facility.
fine.
And then,
We can reference in this, and then you can, in the contract, we can put in there that this is the time that it's turned in,
yeah.
as referenced here.
prior to November,
Yeah,
whatever our notice
Yeah,
period was.
whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, as Dennis said, I mean, they provided it to us already. We've got it here. I just felt like looking through this, that if they know this,
Yeah, there's a whole-
they know how to keep up with it year to year. It does sound like a good idea that they would submit it every year, just so you have it on file.
Yeah, but for folks that don't know, I mean, all the fire departments has got this is it's provided on software that they all purchase to keep track, because they have to keep all this for the fire academy to remain certified, and to also to be in the pension fund, they gotta keep up with everybody's record of everything, and of all the trucks, the pump tests, all those kind of things. So they're keeping up with all this. So all they gotta do is just add some lines to keep up with stuff at the facility over there, so it shouldn't be a problem.
They do track the whole one.
And again, I not necessarily want to dictate exactly what all I gotta say, but in my mind, they ought to at least be able to say, here's kind of the nuts and bolts for this coming year.
Derek and I come from the same world. If it ain't in black and white, it ain't.
Yeah, but
You know, that's the whole nine yards.
right. So all it needs to do is just put it in there to reference that they need to provide that, and that it shouldn't be a problem.
All right. So before we move on, what I would do is take it home, read over it 2 or 3 more times, mark it up, send emails to Mike, attach it to Mike, and we'll try to put one together that fills in some of the blanks.
Yeah, and any input that Bush or any fire department people have to.
Absolutely. All right, consider approving the 4-H budget request. Gentlemen, this is, I spoke to, Miss Denise Everson, Everson, right?
Everson.
Yeah, she's Everson, Beth is Everson, that's right. This will be something that they will advertise now, the dollar amount. They don't expect to hire until probably December. So it will not, I told them that this would not go into effect until January 1 when our new budget is approved. They are completely fine with that. I think Ms. Susan's not leaving until September, October, no, November.
Technically, it's October 31st, but
Yeah.
yes, it's.
So by the time she's done, advertised, applicants start coming in, it's probably gonna be a moot point anyway, but January 1st is when this funding agent will be available. Any questions, gentlemen? This is a total about $1,700 on top of what we're already allowed. I think that's what it was.
Our portion is $7,705.86.
Yeah, but we're already committing some of that. This is numbers above what we already commit.
So just to clarify and make it easy, from what was agreed previously, all we're asking is it's going to be $1,619.61 above what it was previously. And that's including teacher retirement, Social Security, and health care contributions. So the total figure is the $705.80.
And that figure is $1,600 more
than what it was previously. Yeah.
You probably don't have this answer, Travis. How is the teacher's retirement so offset? Like, we're paying 11.6 and UGA is paying 74. You'd think that would be somewhat the other way, but
I don't have any.
I mean, that's the way it's always been, because like you said, there's only a $1,600 increase on here above what we're already paying. Any questions, gentlemen? From a teacher sitting here, I figured he's gonna be like, what? But yeah. You know,
To clarify, that 91,000 is sticker shock, but that's not what we get. The 56,000 is the gross wages from Board of Commissioner, Board of Education, and UGA. The 91,000 is the total contribution from all 3 entities added up from what the gross wages, the benefits, the retirement, everything.
They're on state health benefit too?
Yes.
Yeah, so I know this represents school board too, that the TRS, the employer's portion of state health benefit, TRS.
Way
big.
But our funding commitment is $7705.80, and it currently is 61. Yes. All right, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we do this for our budget year beginning January first. Second motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion on this topic, gentlemen? Commissioner Chandler?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Urgent matters. Executive session to discuss real estate acquisition, personal matters, potential litigation.
No, sir.
Commissioner Dawson.
Motion to adjourn.
Glad to have Mr. Roll back with us.
Hey, man. Yeah. All right.
And the Mayor Harris.
Yeah, Mayor Harris. I did see a mayor of Calico sign in the yard.
Mayor of Poker Dog.
Yeah. So it's in Friendship Church Road, hang a right, go out there about 4 miles on the left.
You don't know who this Bishop Jarvis is?
That Bishop Carey Road goes off the left, look at the next road that's on the left.
So you don't know who that?
Oh, it just says Mayor of Buckeye County. Always world famous. Oh, yeah. Always say, it was the mayor of
I remember that road.
Through with her radiation treatments and all that kind of stuff, so we got through with that. I'm working on, expanding irrigation.